visit to Tucker Carlson's second chance attempt at his own TV news show with Tucker Carlson and found himself under attack.
Kind of a hard sell to say, yeah, we're going to repeal Obamacare, but we're going to send more money to the people who've already gotten the richest over the last 10 years. I mean, that's what this does, no? I'm not a leftist, it's just that's true.
I'm not a leftist, that's true. Ryan's plan is so harsh, it just caused a 47-year-old boy man in a bow tie named Tucker to worry about seeming overly sympathetic to the poor. And before you point out that Tucker Carlson isn't wearing a bow tie, he is, just not where you can see it. And it is not just Tucker here. Many Republican governors and members of Congress have expressed real concern that this bill is going to actively hurt their states, while on the other hand, amazingly, those on the far right wing of the party, like Congressman Mo Brooks of Alabama, think it's way too generous.
This far and away is the biggest welfare program ever sponsored, and quite frankly, it undermines the work ethic. It increases greater reliance on welfare from the federal government. Ultimately, it's going to result in the demise of our country, or at least contribute to our debilitating insolvency and bankruptcy.
So this bill seems almost universally hated in Washington. It is truly the Ted Cruz of healthcare legislation. Fuck you, Ted. Fuck you from everybody. So the White House clearly has a tough sales job ahead, and their efforts so far have been less than impressive. Just watch White House Press Secretary and breakout star of Bridesmaids, Melissa McCarthy, deploy some visual aids.
For all of the people who have concerns about this, especially on the right, look at the size. This is the Democrats, this is us. There is, I mean, you can't get any clearer in terms of this is government, this is not.
First, she's a national treasure, but second, that is the most aggressively stupid thing I've ever seen. And I just saw Jason Chaffetz suggest paying for health insurance by retroactively not buying an iPhone. And that low page count starts to get actively worrisome when you find out what they spent a decent amount of time in there focusing on.
The Republican plan contains a section devoted to making sure people receiving government health care assistance who win the lottery are removed from the program in an orderly fashion. In fact, 6 pages of this bill is devoted to letting states disenroll high-dollar lottery winners.
OK, so a not insignificant percentage of this bill is focused on the urgent matter of what if one poor person suddenly becomes less poor? I'm honestly surprised they didn't also have a section covering what would happen in the event of a Freaky Friday-type situation. If the Medicaid recipient Freaky Fridays into the body of an individual living above 138% of the federal poverty line, states are obligated to de-enroll recipient until recipient Freaky Fridays back, using wish or magic not otherwise specified, or Freaky Fridays into an eligible body. And yet, despite all of this, Republican leaders are ferociously trying to jam this bill through. Already, it had been introduced in the House and passed by 2 committees. And yet there is one person, though, you may have noticed I haven't actually mentioned so far, and that is Donald Trump. And the reason he's been largely absent from our story is that he's been largely absent from this story in general. Because putting aside the prop comedy of the star of Mike and Molly, the White House has been pretty hands-off with this bill. And is there really any way, deep down, that Trump has actually read this thing, given that he recently said this?
We have come up with a solution that's really, I think, very good. Now, I have to tell you, it's an unbelievably complex subject. Nobody knew that health care could be so complicated.
Everybody knew that. Everybody knew health care is complicated. Literally everybody. It is the one thing people know about healthcare. It's complicated. It's like you're saying, who knew King Tut was dead? Everybody did. He's as dead as Barry Morris or Robin Gibb, or all of them or none of them. There's no way to find out.